Darkcast Network. Out of the shadows come the best indie podcasts.
Hi, I'm Ashley, a true crime fanatic.
I'm Dan, and I don't know anything about true crime.
Together, we host Fuck That, a true crime podcast that covers cases that highlight important topics that are often overlooked, such as wrongful convictions, domestic violence, and social inequities, sprinkled in with the occasional case with spooky themes. If you are looking for your next true crime fix delivered candidly with a hint of sarcasm, you can listen and subscribe to bi-weekly episodes of Fuck That wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to give us a follow on Facebook and Twitter at @FThatPod and at @FThat_pod on Instagram.
Devil is on his way, devil is on his way, devil is on his way, motherfucker, the devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees, devil is on his way. Fall to your knees, devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees, devil is on his way. Motherfucker, he's on his way.
Hey, y'all, welcome to a very patriotic Mountain Murders. I'm Heather.
And I'm a red, white, and blue Dylan.
Boom! Why do I feel like you just exploded on my face?
I exploded prematurely. I'm a dangerous firework.
It's actually not too far off.
All right. That's not, hey, that's jokes, folks. That's not reality. I'm actually a very stable firework, and I could safely be administered.
I'm not trying to lose any limbs right now, Dylan.
Okay.
So why don't you just cut it out? Dylan, I think we're going to have a new segment on the show, like the Murder Beach Countdown.
Yeah.
We talk about a lot of crimes that happen at Myrtle Beach, and I think specifically we kind of focus on this area because a lot of people from the Appalachian region, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee,
I've even heard people
West Virginia,
in Ohio talking about it.
Yeah, a lot of those folks that kind of live in our area travel to Myrtle Beach. It's one of the closest beaches, kind of a popular spot. Things to do if you're into, like the mini golf and kind of family-oriented activities, right? But as we have discussed previously, the place is kind of a little dangerous. Like, every time we turn around, there seems to be some chaos erupting.
Yeah,
just like you erupt.
Very serious events.
Well, recently there was a shooting that took place at a very popular restaurant, Peach's Corner. It's actually a historic restaurant on the busy Ocean Boulevard that serves diner items, and it's been around since the 1930s.
Damn, that's a long time.
It is. So, I mean, it's an enduring, popular place. A lot of folks, I'm sure, went there as kids. They've taken their kids in there. I mean, it's like a multi-generational kind of restaurant, right? So this shooting happened on June 27th on Friday around 11:15, and it appears that an employee and another individual got into some kind of altercation. Both pulled out guns and shot each other. One of those persons succumbed to his injuries, and the second person was transported to a hospital for non-life-threatening injury.
Say, if I'm going to some historic kind of diner-esque
I'm just trying to get like a strawberry shake
area or establishment, I'm not expecting to see a to-the-death gunfight.
Yeah, I just want a chili dog.
Damn.
With some like mustard and onions on it.
Some people had some orders in.
Bring me a slaw dog.
And they were really hungry, and then this pops off, and they know damn well they're not going to get their food now.
Well, yeah, this place is open from like 8:30 to just after midnight. So I'm sure there were folks around at this time just trying to get a late night snack.
Yeah, it's really sad to see what's happened to that place, and I think a lot of people have fond memories of going there as children or taking their children there, like you said. But honestly, now I don't think I would go there and hang out.
No, police took one person into custody after the incident, but they have not said whether that person in custody is the one who fired the shots or like how this altercation started. They haven't really released any more information. I couldn't find the victims' names or the victim's name yet. But yeah, this is a pretty popular place right there on Ocean Boulevard. So, and we also have been discussing a lot of these fast food shootings. And it seems nowadays, if you work in a restaurant, whether it's fast food or a diner, you got to be packing.
Well, it seems like people are choosing that option, and
You got to pack more than extra ketchup. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, just watching these people totally lose it and like trash a restaurant or threaten all the employees or literally jump across the counter on them. It's totally out of control, and it doesn't make sense. And this may be a byproduct of that very type of behavior.
Well, like I said, I don't really know what's going on, but it definitely seems like Murder Beach is getting worse and worse, despite the fact they are touting there has been like a drop in crime. According to some numbers I found online, Dylan, Myrtle Beach has 176% more violent crime and 207 more property crimes than the national average. But hey, they have it under control. It's dropping. Well, it's still a lot of crime.
176% more violent crime
than the national average.
Over 200% more property crime per capita.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least it's not 300, right?
It's progress.
Yeah, we're heading.
So I had a theory. Okay, if you're looking for a good way, you want to take someone out, but you can't afford a Craigslist assassin.
Right.
Or a dark web hitman. You take the person, you take your mark, right, to Myrtle Beach.
And you just vacation.
And you just hang out. You make sure you take this person out on Ocean Boulevard, probably in the late evening hours, maybe early morning hours.
Later the better.
Yeah, and you just kind of hang out on the corners and wait. And eventually one of you will probably be shot and killed. Or at least shot.
Yeah.
See?
And then you can play
and then all you're doing is spending the vacation money. And you can probably stay in one of those shitty old-ass motor courts that charge you like $60 a night, and you get some friendly roaches that accompany you in the room.
And then you get to play like the concerned spouse.
Oh, no. How did this happen?
Oh, my gosh. What happened? I thought we would come down here and hang out at 2:45 in the morning. I don't know how she got shot.
See, yeah.
This is crazy.
We were just trying to buy drugs. I don't understand what happened.
So
I just pulled a gun on a fast food worker. I don't know how this happened. Yes.
Murder Beach can now be your assassin, is what we're saying, folks.
Oh, the world is full of craziness, Dylan, and that is why we should celebrate this 4th of July, because it could be our last.
Oh.
Mwah ha ha.
Okay.
I mean, who knows the way things are going.
Yeah, I face every day like that.
Next year you could be celebrating like Russian Independence Day or something. Chinese New Year.
Both of those sound fun.
Iranian Death to America Day.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
I mean, who knows? Who knows what the way the world is going? Dylan, you have discovered a new trashy show, and you just can't get enough of it. And then we're going to get into our episode.
Oh, my gosh.
But I know how much you love to discuss trash TV with our listeners.
I just found 5 full seasons of what I can already tell is going to be some very trashy TV. It is on Peacock, and it is Love After Lockup.
I think the show needs no introduction, Dylan. A lot of people out there know of Love After Lockup. They watch it. They're fans of it.
Well, I've never found
It's pretty popular.
until now. And for those who don't know,
It's new to you.
Yeah, that's right. The premise is people who get into a relationship when one of them is already in prison, and then they get out and begin their beautiful life together. And it's just as incredible as you might think it is.
It seems like it really works out for these folks.
Yeah.
Once they are living together. You know what gets me about it? This is all I have to say, and then I'll stop talking about your show, Dylan, because I know you love it. It's mostly these women who have fallen for a man who's in lockup. And they instantly demand once he is released from jail. And now again, he's been serving time, 18 years, 7 years, 15 years, whatever.
These are long stints.
He gets out of jail, and he's broke. He's been in jail. He ain't got no money. And these women are demanding like an engagement ring.
Yeah, I want the ring that I want.
I want the diamond ring that I want. Oh, and by the way, it's like a $10,000 diamond ring.
Yeah.
And it's like, homeboy's been doing time, okay? He doesn't have any money. And then they get pissed because right away he doesn't get on a knee, offer them some 2-carat diamond ring, propose, and then pay for some elaborate wedding.
Yeah, and you're talking about guys who are marveling at a flat screen TV or a smartphone.
Yeah.
Or they're just riding in a car staring around like a 5-year-old that just pulled up to the beach for the first time. And they're demanding these ridiculous, which I've always thought it's crazy to pay that much for a diamond, because diamonds aren't truly rare. That's all the diamond cartel. It's all about controlled inventory. That diamonds aren't rare at all. They literally put them in tool implements and stuff. They're not rare. That's all fake. That's all marketing. De Beers, all them. Look it up. Diamond cartel. But anyway, it's a shiny little rock. They're looking at $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 rings.
I can't even get you to buy me like a fake shiny rock.
No, but I'm saying this is hard for someone who's been working the last 10 years to be ready to do. To have that kind of money to drop on something like that and a lavish wedding. And they're not realistic in their relationship goals. Let's just say that.
Well, they want a princess wedding. They want $1 million wedding on my man just got out of prison budget.
I mean, what the hell? So there's
these women are buying these dudes' cars, and it's not just the women. There are men doing this kind of thing too, but dropping thousands of dollars on a new wardrobe, buying their significant other a brand new car.
Been sending money to their books.
Yeah, one guy sent like $20,000 in just 3 years to his prison girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's wild.
No, it is wild.
It's like watching a train wreck.
And you can't look away.
Well, maybe some of these couples will fall in love and have their honeymoon at Murder Beach. Who knows?
Okay, enough festivities. We need to get into today's case. Tell us about it, Heather.
Let's get into this, Dylan. Enough of your Dylan-y dallying. All right. They say love conquers all, but what happens when it consumes, controls, and ultimately kills?
Oh.
True crime is brimming with whirlwind romances, twisted obsessions, prison romances, and cases where passions turn perilous.
Damn, baby. You wrote that? That's good.
Sometimes, Dylan, the ones who say they love you are the ones you should fear the most.
I feel like it's almost like you wrote a description about love after lockup.
Well, it was on my mind, just like you. You're always on my mind, too. And you better watch out, because I'll fuck you up.
Oh, I don't do anything to deserve being fucked up.
Okay, sure. Gina Lynn Pierce was born in Bellevue, Illinois on January 12th of 1966 to parents Sue and Steve. Bellevue at the time was a fairly quiet, uneventful small town. Steve Pierce could barely make ends meet for his young family, but that did not stop the couple from welcoming 2 more children. Because that's always when you're living in poverty, that's always what you need, are to add more kids to the mix.
Yeah, that really helps a situation like that.
I don't know why people feel like that's what they need to do, but
well, babies are just a byproduct of
love, of romance.
Yeah, we'll call it that.
So the couple adds 2 more children to the mix. They have Steve Jr. and a daughter named Betty Jo. To cope with his feelings of inadequacy as a provider, Steve started staying out most nights. It didn't take long for rumors to spread in a small town like Belleville. Word got back to his wife, Sue, that Steve was not only getting into these fist fights and brawls at taverns. Of course, he's very intoxicated when these happen. But he's also been seen around town with other women.
Now, how do you have stay out all night money?
Stay out all night money? How you got diaper money.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't know how you have room for, which I know it's people who don't care or certainly don't prioritize things, but it still costs to drink in a bar every night.
How about less screwing and more working to pay your bills?
That's a really good formula, Heather.
Yeah, I know. Steve would stumble in as soon as the children were getting off to school, oozing the stench of booze. Sue tried to ignore the persistent rumors, but in the fall of 1973, she had had enough. Sue confronted her husband about the cheating scandals. He left the house and was never seen again.
Damn.
As the oldest child, Gina bore the brunt of her father's departure. She had a unique bond with him, often being the only bright spot in his otherwise self-imposed misery. She sensed the significant problems in her parents' marriage and tried to overcompensate by being chatty and charming, especially amusing her father. His sudden departure was a devastating blow to Gina, who spent years wandering the streets of Belleville in hope she might have a chance encounter with him. How sad is that?
That's so sad.
That you would just walk up and down the sidewalks like hoping, praying that you might bump into your dad again?
That's insane.
It's very sad. Unfortunately, she never saw him again. Gina would cry herself to sleep every night, longing for her father's return. The younger children would later say they barely remembered him. However, Gina would carry the hurt in her soul for a long time. The family faced financial struggles as they had before. Gina withdrew socially, avoiding making friends out of fear they would also leave her. She had this real fear of abandonment.
Oh, which a fear of abandonment is a very terrible post-traumatic trait to bear because it really affects your life so significantly and all relationships moving forward.
She started smoking at 12 years old to, quote, calm her nerves. Gina didn't fit in with her peers, but still managed to make the honor roll. Sue worked full-time, often long hours, at a diner. The children were left to fend for themselves. Much of the housework and cooking was left to Gina. The girl grew resentful, feeling like she spent more time working on the house than playing with her few friends. At the age of 16, Gina made the surprising decision to drop out of high school. She refused to tell her family why she'd made the decision. Her sister Betty Jo said, quote, guess she just kind of gave up. There were no signs that Gina was using drugs or alcohol at the time. Gina confided in a friend that school was boring. She planned to find a man who would take care of her.
Oh, okay.
There you go. That's your plan too, isn't it?
I was looking for a good man.
I was going to say, weren't you looking for a man to take care of you as well?
Makes, good money where I could be a stay-at-home husband.
It's a dream, right?
Yeah, why not?
Gina faced the harsh reality that she'd have to get a job since she was no longer in school. This did not please Gina, who preferred just hanging out at home. She made an arrangement with her mother that if she kept the house clean, she could just stay home and she wouldn't have to contribute financially. And of course, this would free up her mother's, days off or time off that she could kind of relax and like have a little bit of a life.
Oh, and also have her around watching the household while she's working.
Well, and helping with the younger siblings, all of that. Now, this worked briefly, but then Gina turned lazy. Now, this case, in my opinion, Dylan, has many similarities to the Kelly Gissendaner episode that we covered back in December of 2024.
Okay.
So just keep that in mind. Some of the story you will almost feel like you've heard before because they have such similarities. Gina's motivation to maintain the house dwindled further when she started dating a boy named Stephen Hill. He had a job at a hardware store in town. Now, the couple didn't have much money for dates, so they spent a lot of time hanging out at home watching television. In 1984, Gina became pregnant with Steve's child. Now, at this point, Gina saw her future. If she married Steve, she could get the support she needed financially and be able to, stay at home.
I mean,
no job.
Is Steve going to upgrade jobs from the hardware store? Because, see, that's people have this vision of what they think they can do But then all the components are not in place for them to actually do that thing, achieve that. You know what I'm saying?
Some of that comes with just being young,
Yeah.
naive,
I think
a
so.
little dumb. You're young and dumb. We've all been young and dumb, you know? In your brain, you think things are going to work out, and then
Yeah.
you grow up and you're like, shit, nothing ever works out.
Young and dumb and full of change, pocket change.
Something full of some baby making sauce. Now, the absence of a father figure in her life had a profound impact on Gina's relationships, leading her to seek stability and security in her partner. I think this happens to a lot, and I'm going to maybe go on a limb here and say a lot of young women. You know, there's that age-old, oh, daddy issues thing. But I think a lot of young women who didn't have a father around or were like abandoned by their dad do have, they seek out, you know, men, that kind of love and validation that they feel like they didn't get at home.
Oh, no, this is for sure true, a real thing. Just like there's some ways, some significant ways a mother's love and relationship can affect a boy. It's true on the father and daughter relationship as well. And this, I would say, is as I call it, looking for love in all the wrong places, is the most significant, the worst part of that.
Yeah, there was that one time I was like looking for love in a glory hole in a New Jersey bathroom. That didn't work out so well.
Ow.
All the wrong places.
Well, I think from a glory hole's perspective, it depends on what side you're on.
Let's just say I got pink eye.
What? Okay, let's move on.
And then I met you.
Oh,
Ha!
gosh.
And then you definitely need a mommy to take care of you.
Yeah, and a health department appointment as well, it sounds like.
Yeah, you better get checked out.
This is why I don't go to the doctor, because I don't want to know.
I don't want to know either. I did have blood work recently. And of course, when it came back, it was like, you know, testing for all these random things. And then I saw HIV negative. And I was
Nice.
like, oh, that's good to know. I mean, I
Yeah.
kind of assumed I didn't have it, but
You never know.
in my paranoid, like 80s kid brain, there's always this lingering thought like you could catch HIV and then get AIDS and die.
Oh, well, you're thinking of 80s AIDS.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, 2025 AIDS is totally different.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
From the commercials, everybody looks happy.
All I know in Team America is that everyone has AIDS. Yeah, 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 yeah. AIDS, AIDS, AIDS.
All the commercials, everybody looks healthy, happy,
They
and
do.
like they're having the best time. So,
Well, in all those prescription pharmaceutical commercials, people look like they're having the best time.
yeah, even if they have explosive diarrhea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And then I love when it gives the side effects and it'll be like, you may experience sweating, nausea, brain bleeds.
Your leg might fall off.
Anal leakage. Yeah.
They need like the
Your colon might rupture.
crazy.
And while the people are like eating a salad and laughing with their friends.
yeah. They're always
great.
going to like a little street carnival.
Like a festival.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I love the ones where they're like dancing in the yard, like a choreographed scene. Everyone's wearing like matching outfits and dancing.
That's
Well,
like
Yeah.
when I was a little kid, I'm like, okay, so this woman is on having her period. You know, I grew up with a mom and sister, and that was it. So it was no big deal to me. I was like, but on this is the day she decides to ride the white horse in the all white outfit.
Yes.
Like this does not make sense to me.
Or she's in like a gymnast,
yeah.
like a leotard, and she's doing back bends and stuff.
I guess she couldn't help it if she had a gym meet.
I guess not.
But she could have chose to like get a red horse. This was my kid brain working.
Are there red horses?
Yeah.
Look, I just feel like white pants are never a good idea.
No.
I've seen too many bad things come from wearing white pants. Okay, so moving along. Gina was 18 years old and 5 months pregnant when she married Steve in a civil ceremony. Only a few friends and family members were in attendance, but everyone agreed it would provide Gina with the stability that she needed. Gina was pleased about her role as a mother and a homemaker. A marriage and a baby were also the perfect way to avoid getting a job.
And this is an age-old sentiment.
We know someone that is kind of following along these lines.
Well, I think everyone knows someone who's fallen along these lines. Even and you don't have to be completely at the bottom of the economical ladder or rung to do this. I've seen this happen in almost middle class families. It's almost like I don't know.
It's like when the kids start school,
aging out,
and she's home doing nothing, and everybody's kind of looking at her like, well, you gonna get a job now? That's when she gets pregnant again.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's exactly what I mean. I didn't want to be insensitive about that.
Well, I think it's a reality.
Okay,
and we all tiptoe around too much political correctness these days. Sometimes you just got to flat out tell the truth.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and that's what we do here on Mountain Murders. We don't sugarcoat shit.
No, it's true.
Bitch, you just don't want to get a job. That's why you keep squirting out kids.
Yes. Could that be a t-shirt?
It ain't a damn algebra problem. I know what you're doing. Now, the newlyweds had limited resources and relied on their families for help. They rented a small apartment and rarely left town because, again, they couldn't really afford to go anywhere.
No.
Like, didn't even really have gas money to drive to the next town.
They can't go a county over.
No.
And if you can't go a county over, you shouldn't be having kids. And I'm not even being funny.
But.
If you don't have some kind of plan of some can at least meet their basic needs and let them have some laughs here and there, you shouldn't have kids.
But Dylan,
and you shouldn't keep having kids.
But Dylan, you act like access to contraceptives and birth control is just available everywhere.
No,
for free a lot of times.
No upward mobility
like,
and financial.
You can't even find a basket of condoms in a local bar or bathroom.
And continued financial instability is a form of abuse. And I think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to disparage poor people because I've been poor before, but you know what? When you're poor, you probably shouldn't be squirting out a bunch of damn kids. There you go. If you can't take care of them, don't have them.
Well, you got to
I mean, there's a difference in like you have a good job and you start a family and then something catastrophic happens to your health or you get laid off. I mean, that kind of thing happens. But if you're already living in poverty and you don't even have 2 nickels to rub together, right? Then why are you like, yeah, let's have some kids. We should really have 4 or 5.
Well, no, you got to think about what kind of life you can provide for that child. And that's like a real thing.
There, I'm being judgy. Now, the couple welcomed a baby boy, Stephen, in October of 1984. Gina told people she couldn't wait to get pregnant again. In reality, Gina was immature with little self-confidence. She didn't know anything about birth and babies, Dylan. She had no idea how to take care of a child or raise a child or how to be a mom. And I mean, let's face it, most of us don't. But you do kind of learn as you go and try to put forth some effort, right?
Well, yeah, the second or third or fourth time I have a child should not be like the first. My attitude should have changed. My circumstances should be changing or improving or, at least be stable.
Well, from all accounts, Gina really had no grasp of childcare. Like, she really didn't know what to do. She told a friend that the main reason for getting pregnant was, quote, to be loved by somebody. So she had a baby, so it would love her.
Oh, I thought she meant other people loving her because she's pregnant.
Well, maybe that too.
Okay.
11 months after the birth of her son, Gina had a daughter. Their families were concerned that Steve and Gina wouldn't be able to afford 2 children. They could barely afford 1.
11 months apart.
Yeah.
Damn.
They's fucking. Of course, 2 babies created a lot of stress in the couple's lives. Steve was worried his wife would get pregnant again, which he really did not want a 3rd child. He knew this would push them totally into financial ruin. To ease her husband's worries, Gina agreed to a tubal ligation. Gina was not the best homemaker. The apartment was cluttered, and instead of cleaning, Gina preferred lounging around watching soap operas all day. She would like watch the back-to-back soap operas.
Well, see, you see these people that talk about they love being a parent or mother or father, but then they don't even do the basic. They aren't a parent every day.
Or they call themselves a homemaker.
Yeah.
But they're not really making a home.
No.
They're not really doing any of meeting the expectations of like this traditional role of like, I'm a mom and a homemaker.
No, and keeping a home up with two small children is a lot of work.
It is. But if you can find time to sort of hang out and watch soap operas and eat bonbons, you know, you could probably like vacuum your carpet.
Well, no, well, certainly. But I mean, if you're going to keep it up properly and stuff, but you still have time you can kind of have your own.
It is a full-time job.
Right.
But some people make it more of like a part-time job, I guess.
Well, no, some people act like it's impossible to do. Like there's just no way, when that's not the reality. And we all know that. Everyone around them knows that.
Yeah. I mean, my granny had a bunch of kids, and she was out farming and like tending the livestock and shit with a baby on her hip.
Yeah, and the house was probably kept.
30s and 40s.
And she probably cooked 3 full meals a day.
Did.
Like from scratch,
and her
everything.
husband was a logger and would often be at some logging camp, you know, out in the middle of nowhere for months at a time.
Yeah.
Leaving her there with 6 small kids.
Whew.
And again, she's got babies on her hip churning butter. I mean, you know, it can be done if you want to make it happen. But Steve didn't seem to mind this. Like, he didn't really care about the housework. He didn't mind that she had to watch Days of Our Lives. However, one of the couple's issues was Gina's sex drive. She wanted intimacy every day, while Steve often said he was too tired. As a mother, Gina appeared almost possessive of the kids, and although Stephen offered to help, Gina would not relinquish control. Everything in the home was focused on Gina and the children. Steve played second fiddle. She hardly ever talked to him or even recognized her husband was a person. All she did was go on and on about her day and the children.
Okay, well, that's not the makings of a good relationship.
That's what I do. I just go on about myself and Rufus.
No,
I
you don't.
I don't even ask you how you are.
That's not true.
And then you're like, I'm broken. No one cares how I feel.
I'm okay. I'm fine.
I'm a sad man, but no one cares.
Oh my gosh. Look, can we say right quick that whole trend of the sad man t-shirts? I think a lot of people saw those online, and they'd say the various things. It'd be like, I'm okay. And then it'd be like, I'm broken. I'm damaged.
No one ever asked me if I'm okay.
I'm crying. Which, I mean, there's some truth to that, you know, in society.
Well, I mean, you know, men's mental health, I think, is more recognized today. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times men are just expected to suffer in silence.
Well, and that was a societal thing, but it was also amongst men. Right? Like, if
Don't you cry, you little bitch.
If your buddy's having a hard time and you need to go in the back room and let him blubber, cry, talk to you, you should do that. That's okay, you know? Sometimes you just got to get it out.
I think it makes some men feel uncomfortable. And it's probably rooted from childhood when they were belittled or made fun of. If they cried, it was like, oh, you're acting like a girl, you know?
Well, that's a nice way that they wouldn't have said it. But yes. Well, yeah, and that's true. Well, it's just not having an emotional toolbox to deal with things. So, but anyway, at least we got some cool T-shirts.
Well, okay, so here we've got Steve. Again, he's like on his own island over here.
But yeah, I mean, she's not. Again, she's one of those people who carries on and on about motherhood and family and this and that, but she's not doing. And I'm not saying that Steve is doing all his part either. She's not handling the business at home to be like, I'm sure if there was Facebook, she would be like, my children are my world, while she sits there on the couch and watches soap opera and ignores the children. You know, people like that kill me.
While they'd be running around with like snotty nose.
And it gross and
crusty
dirty.
face.
And the house is dirty and they're just eating processed crap because you're too lazy to take 2 seconds and make some eggs or something like that for them.
Man, you want some eggs for them kids, don't you?
Well, I bet them kids want some damn eggs and a clean diaper.
Tragically, Gina and Steve lost their daughter at just 4 months old.
Oh, my God.
Gina was plunged into a deep depression, blaming herself for the child's death and feeling overwhelming guilt, although there was nothing that could have been done to prevent it. The loss of their daughter was a devastating blow to the young family. Steve, who had been ignored for so long, had a hard time showing emotion or connecting to his wife, like throughout this grieving process.
Now, was it SIDS or something to that effect?
Something like that.
So just a sudden death.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And
That's terrible.
the morning that this happened, and I didn't put this in the story, but I'll just go ahead and tell you. Gina had turned off the baby monitor so that she and Steve could make love.
Make sweet, sweet love.
Yeah. And so then I guess once that was finished, when she went to check on the baby, found her.
Oh, my God.
So then so again, that's kind of why she blamed herself. Like, it was my fault I turned off the baby monitor.
Well, in reality, that might not have changed things, but I see. Well, thanks for adding that, because I was wondering why she blamed herself. So I see.
But Gina never forgave herself for the child's death. She was also disturbed by her decision to be sterilized. Gina felt it was the biggest mistake of her life. She also worried that Steve would leave her because she couldn't have more children. This was not the truth. I mean, at this point, Steve was like, no, we're good. Like, we don't need to have any more kids, right? Like, we're drowning in bills here. In a deep depression after the death of her daughter, Gina started binge eating during the day. She gained a lot of weight. Gina became reclusive because she didn't want neighbors to see how much weight she had gained. The marriage crumbled. In the evenings, Gina would leave the apartment, and Steve would care for their young son. The house was in disarray. The couple rarely spent time together, and it was only a matter of time before the marriage ended, or at least that's what friends and family speculated. After the couple split, Gina moved into her mom's house. According to her family, there was a distinct change in Gina's personality, and they really feel like the death of her daughter kind of
messed her up.
Well, yeah, or kind of ushered in this new Gina. She started going out to bars nearly every night. Gina's relationship with her son drifted, and she showed no interest in taking care of the young child. When confronted about all of this, Gina would grow defensive. Instead of handing over the child support for bills, Gina became a party animal. Her mother, Sue, became a built-in babysitter. Gina was an absent mother who would rather drink at bars and meet men. She admitted to friends that she needed a man, quote, at all times, and anyone would do. She did not want to be alone.
Such self-destructive characteristics.
She couldn't afford to maintain her lifestyle or care for her son. Gina bounced checks. Warrants were even issued for her arrest, but she somehow managed to dodge law enforcement. Like, every time they came knocking, she conveniently wasn't at home.
Man, back in the day, man, you could kite a check, kite it, as they called it.
What does that mean?
That means writing it, and you have an idea of how long before the retailer turns it in, and it actually makes it to your bank. So you could actually write a check with a zero balance and then sneak the money in there right before it's cashed. And that's when you're playing a dangerous game.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Because check fraud is a pretty big deal.
I just remember as a kid being, I don't know if I would say enamored, but like super interested in, there was this little grocery store called Smoky Mountain Grocery that was like at the end of Allen's Creek in Waynesville. So it was like at the end of this little community where like my family lived, and my Nana would go shopping there all the time. And I just remember they had like this, it was a really old school grocery store, but they had like this little plexiglass
Wall of shame
that had all of the bad bounced checks.
Yeah.
With people's names on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All their info right there for everybody to look at.
Yeah, and as a kid, I'd be like, whoa, and like be reading all the names and stuff. Yeah.
Ah, yes, the old days when you could commit check fraud and get away with it. Yeah.
Gina fell in love with an older man and skipped town. Just kind of randomly.
So left her son and everybody and just took off?
Yeah, she told people she was pregnant, but it didn't take long for the man to phone Sue and reveal the pregnancy hoax. Gina told him she had had a miscarriage due to all the stress her, quote, family put her under.
Gina's full of excuses, right? And she took the death of her child and just used it in a selfish way, which I'm sure that was devastating. But to be like, oh, this is why I don't want to do anything. I don't want to have a job. I don't want to have
Girl,
responsibilities.
you didn't want to do this stuff before.
You weren't doing it before, let's be honest. And this is another reason or excuse for you to use to kind of cop out.
Well, of course, Sue, Gina's mother, informed this man that Gina couldn't get pregnant. The guy was stunned.
We done took her down to the vet's office and had her fixed.
Gina returned to her mother's house. Oh, and they had ran off to Maryland, by the way. So Gina returns to her mother's house in Illinois. Still refusing to work, Sue had to take on the financial burden of her adult daughter and grandson. In 1989, Gina started dating a man named Kevin Spann. He was a few years older than Gina. Kevin was also in the U.S. Army. Kevin had earned a college degree in electronics and was a telecommunications expert in the military. He was tech savvy, excelled in mathematics, and liked working with computers. Kevin was a kind, quiet man with simple tastes. He enjoyed collecting things. His father said it really didn't matter what. He just liked to collect little treasures.
Okay.
Despite being an active duty soldier, Kevin wasn't really what you would think of as like the tough guy type. He was more involved in the technical aspects of things and loved mechanics, gadgets, and the like. So he enjoyed kind of being in that support role, troubleshooting, kind of being like maybe the battalion nerd that everyone came to, like to fix stuff.
Now, he had a pretty hot degree back then in telecommunications and early computers and stuff to actually he can make some really good money in the private sector with that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a second. So Gina, at this point, weighed around 200 pounds and was described as frumpy. She dressed in oversized clothes and wore her hair in a very unstylish manner.
You wouldn't describe me as frumpy, would you?
No.
It's more like strapping, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, I'd hate to be called frumpy.
I think I'm frumpy.
You're not frumpy.
Dude, I just wear like a big t-shirt and gym shorts every day.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. You're not
I
like...
barely brush my hair. I don't even know what it's like, half pulled up and sticking up all over the place right now.
Dude, I've give up
I look like a Fraggle.
I've give up on haircuts. Everywhere I go, they do not do... They either want like $60 for a freaking men's haircut.
Yeah, these barbershops are crazy.
Or it's like some old dude who can't even cut a good old school fade. And then my hair grows out and I have wings. Like I'm on freaking Days of Our Lives
You're
myself.
saying you don't want to go to my dad's barber who like...
And so I just...
my dad's barber, I don't know what this old man is doing, but my dad every time has like the worst haircuts I've ever seen.
I'm pretty sure your dad's barber doesn't like him.
You think he's purposefully giving him these?
It's worse than the haircut Jerry got that time from that guy's uncle.
On Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He tried to sneak and get...
I was like, Jerry, like the guy you work with?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, Jerry Seinfeld.
Okay.
But yeah, I just quit shaving. I quit shaving everything.
You know what? Welcome to being 45, in my opinion. Look, I spent a lot of my young years, 20-something years, every day getting up, putting on makeup, doing my hair, fussing over my clothes, going to an office.
Oh, wow.
That kind of shit. And now I'm just like, fuck it. I want some stretchy pants.
Oh, gosh, is that early fireworks?
Either that or one of our neighbors just got killed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But, I guess I just give up. Like once a month, if we go somewhere, I might get ready. But,
I think you're hot right now in your stained T-shirt.
This is your T-shirt. You outgrew it. It does have a bleach stain on it.
My shoulders outgrew it, but yeah.
Again, you're so strapping.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to sit here upright, honestly, under the weight of all this muscle.
All right. So Kevin had gotten out of a bad long-term relationship with a woman who had frequently cheated on him. She also became pregnant with his child, but that wouldn't come out until much later.
She did become pregnant with his child?
This long-term girlfriend that he had had.
Oh.
But she found out she was pregnant as they were breaking up and just never told him.
Oh, okay.
That, hey, this is your baby.
Man, that sucks.
Does it?
Well, as soon as I said that, I was like, or does it? I'm just kidding. Kids are awesome.
I'm not. Man, if I have some kid that just shows up one day like you're my mom,
I'm like, man, fuck that, dude.
I'm going to demand a maternity test because I'm like, what? Gina had admitted she needed a man in her life constantly, and it was kind of clear to Gina's family that she didn't really love Kevin, that she just needed a man, and he just happened to be like the man of the moment.
Okay, that's sweet.
Yeah. When Gina learned her boyfriend was getting out of the Army, she was discouraged. The Army was a secure career, and she told him that he should pursue a posting in Germany. Gina saw this as a way out of Belleville. I don't know why I called it Bellevue. Belleville. Kevin had never met a woman like Gina. She was sexually adventurous and talked about any subject with him, and he was quickly enamored. To land Kevin completely, guess what she did?
What?
She told him she was pregnant.
Oh, I'm going to try that.
You should.
Yeah, but baby, I'm pregnant.
I'd be excited.
I feel like you've been an absent parent.
I want to squeeze a baby.
You would have my baby? Or you would squeeze my baby?
Well, I'm not having your baby,
My
but
man.
I would squeeze your baby.
My man baby?
Whatever. I'm really good. You know, I'm so good to your granddaughter, little baby. I take such good care of her.
Yeah, I like to visit little ones for like an hour or two.
You know, I'll be loving babies. It's just when they're like 16 that somebody can take them away. Okay.
You trying to stuff a 18-year-old in the fire department
Yeah.
baby saving door?
Yeah. Well, it's just really when they like maybe when they hit puberty and they're real mouthy. That's when they can go to the fire station.
Well, I've told you, I'll fight a teenager.
So here Gina is telling Kevin she's going to have his baby. She'd already researched how much a service member would earn with dependents. And her ex-husband worked a low-paying job, which was not nearly enough to sustain Gina and her son's needs. After a few weeks, Gina said she'd had a miscarriage.
Oops.
Kevin's roommate confided in her family that Gina had, quote, lost the baby due to the stress they had put her under, which seems to be a lie she likes to tell, that it's her family's fault.
You know, that's some cold shit to tell a guy that you're pregnant with their child when you know for a fact you're not. That's pretty wicked.
Yeah.
I think it's just as messed up to tell a guy that it's his baby when you know for a fact it's not.
Yeah, I think that's really messed up.
I think that's really messed up, and I think that should have some kind of real consequences tied to it.
I had a relative that actually happened to him. He was with this girl, like, they'd been in a long-term relationship. They had a child together, or so he thought. And for the first 2 years of this child's life, raised her, loved her. I mean, he was a really good dad. And then one day she tells him, like, oh, by the way, this isn't your kid.
Yeah, it's messed up.
And he finds out it's not. He was so heartbroken.
No, it's just
really sad.
Just as messed up for a guy to get a girl pregnant and run off like he doesn't have to do anything to help with the child. That's really messed up too. So certainly not a one-way street, but I just think that's a really, I don't know, it's a kind of meanness to it that's very unique to that situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, what's really interesting is this relative, some years later, she was still, a kid, so it was maybe 4 or 5 years later, ended up getting custody of the child and raising her like full time.
Really?
Yeah. And that's his daughter. And he always considered this child his daughter, even though he knew she really wasn't. But he ended up getting custody of her.
Well, and you certainly, it matters to some people, but if you was there from day one raising that little baby, I mean, that's where the real work starts. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be biologically yours to have that connection, I think.
Sleepless nights, changing diapers.
Yeah, you're the one putting in the work.
Rocking them to sleep.
Yeah.
Taking their little temperature when they're sick.
Yeah, giving them Benadryl when you want them to go to sleep so you can drink. I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
I would never have kids with you.
Nah,
you're
dude.
The worst.
I was.
And you sleep through a damn tornado ripping through the house.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine, like, You probably never get up with a screaming baby.
Oh no, well you might have to, nudge me to be like, hey, will you help?
And then just like fall back to sleep.
No.
That's what you do now.
Well, that's because I don't have to get up with babies now.
I could be like, Dylan, I think someone's breaking in the house. And you're like, that's cool. And then you just roll over and go back to sleep.
But I'm not really awake. You know that.
Well, I can never tell. Because sometimes you'll get up and walk through the house. And I think you're awake, but you're like not.
I'm
fully.
asleep right now.
I don't know what you're doing. Gina's family made it clear to Kevin that she'd lied about this pregnancy. And he was upset, as you can imagine. Gina told Kevin that her family was lying and even insisted she had suffered abuse at the hands of her sister and mother. When Kevin checked with the hospital to confirm that Gina had checked in, she'd told him she'd gone to this hospital, had checked in when she'd had this miscarriage. He was able to find out that Gina had never actually checked into the medical center. She had not been seen there.
Damn.
I guess maybe this was back before they really believed in HIPAA.
I was going to say, they actually shared someone else's information with you?
When challenged with the lies, Gina confessed. She told Kevin about losing her daughter. Kevin was sympathetic. They continued seeing each other. It was clear to everyone that Gina was able to manipulate and exercise control over men, and that the kind of men Gina liked were the ones she could steamroll. And Kevin fit that bill. I mean, he's a pretty passive guy. Not only was Gina incredibly lazy, according to her family, but she was constantly sick. These bouts of sickness were faked. Kevin would wait on Gina hand and foot during these fake sicknesses. Even after he'd worked a long, hard day, he would come home and just, do anything for her.
Yeah, look, you can't just be sick all the time. I know sometimes people have things that are wrong with them and they don't know why. They're tired or something like that, or don't feel good, and they do have a real issue. But I mean, go to the doctor, get somebody to look into this. See, try to get some help.
No, I want to just be sick.
Oh my God, poor thing, you sound sick.
Gina pressured Kevin to get married, but he wasn't really ready. When he informed Gina that he needed to go to Texas for training, she burst into tears. At this point, she gave him an ultimatum. Get married, or she couldn't guarantee she would wait on him while he was gone. 5 weeks was just too long for Gina to be without a man.
But you, at the same time, want him to stay in the Army?
Yes.
Like you're never going to have a separation of any type?
No.
I think you can talk to military spouses, and that's just not the reality of being in armed services.
We'll get to that in a minute. But with that, Kevin and Gina got married. Gina's family knew Kevin was a means to an end. Gina just wanted out of Illinois. She was willing to do anything to achieve this goal. Friends suspected that Kevin was bulldozed into the marriage, but he seemed content. Kevin was transferred to Texas for a year before being shipped out to Germany. He loaded up his new family and headed to Fort Worth. When Kevin was home, Gina was happy. But when he was away, like for training exercise, he might be away for a couple of days, Gina was filled with jealousy, imagining that he was out at bars meeting women. Gina's plans were interrupted when the Gulf War broke out in 1990. Kevin, like many troops, was on standby for war duty. During this time, Kevin spent a great deal, he spent a great deal of time on base. They were kind of preparing, gearing up, training.
And she thinks he's out cheating with Uncle Sam.
Gina was home, lonely, with only the television to keep her company. She wished she had love after lockup. Around Christmas of 1990, Kevin deployed to the Persian Gulf. Gina knew there was nothing she could do to prevent him from leaving, and at that point, she wished she'd gone along with his dream of just settling down and getting a civilian job. Staff Sergeant Kevin Spann realized things would never be the same after returning home from war. His outlook on life had shifted. He started to really appreciate just the little things like blue skies and trees, because there had been no trees in the desert. It's also a difficult transition for many service members. You get the adrenaline hit of the military, and that can be really addictive. Then you return to civilian life where, it's monotonous, mundane.
Well, yeah, and you may have made a little rank. You may be, kind of be somebody in your unit, and then you go back to civilian life, and none of that really kind of matters.
Well, even when you return to base, you go back to kind of like 9 to 5. So you're not really getting that on the edge of your seat, constant adrenaline rush. War changes people, Dylan.
I bet that's really, really strange to try to transition back from something like that.
Well, I think a good example in a film is The Hurt Locker. Jeremy Renner's character. Like, it just shows him in the grocery store, and it's like he just can't even really function.
Can't be normal.
Yeah, because he's been like disassembling bombs and shit, And by now, the computer job market was oversaturated. I'll get that out. Kevin had waited a little too late to get in, secure a job. Now a lot of people were into computers. Staying in the Army seemed like his only option. Gina was pleased with this decision because it meant they would leave for Germany. Kevin had spent a year away in a foreign land, so he was a little less excited about moving overseas. Kevin had also heard stories about what bored Army wives do on foreign bases when their husbands aren't around.
I think that happens on a lot of bases, from what I can tell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In Germany, Gina seized the opportunity to reinvent herself. She lost weight. She began dressing differently, opting for tighter, kind of sexier clothing. She got rid of that frumpy hairstyle, kind of got a little something more modern going on. Gina told friends back home about the Europeans' laid-back attitudes about sex, and she really liked this. She liked that they were so open and liberated.
Okay.
Kevin wasn't as open with their sex life, which Gina found frustrating. She wanted to talk about the sex clubs and brothels, maybe even go check them out. Kevin disagreed with the German sexual attitudes. He was more reserved and felt sex was private, was not an exhibitionist.
He didn't want to go eat sushi while somebody screws on the table.
Is that a thing?
Probably. That's what it sounds like you're describing to me. Sex club?
Well, that's what you think they do at a sex club?
Yeah.
I thought maybe they play like naked table tennis.
Well,
they got a pickleball court in the sex club.
Dude, that's ugly naked. You don't watch people play pickleball naked.
That's what they do at like nudist camps.
Oh.
They
God.
be playing pickleball naked.
I'm sure they do.
Trouble arose when Kevin returned to the United States for a few months to undergo like another training. Gina was left alone in Germany, and we all know Gina hates being alone. Within days of Kevin's departure, Gina began seeing another soldier. Gina's affair with Michael Dunleavy was soon the talk of the base. Many were surprised that the handsome young man would fall for the chubby housewife. Yet Gina knew how to talk to men, and once she got them in bed, they just didn't know what to think.
Damn.
She's a tigress.
Damn.
She'd be tearing them up.
Sound like Gina be doing some things they ain't never seen before.
Yeah. Sounds like it. 2 months into the affair, Gina told her lover that she was pregnant.
Ah, damn it.
Michael panicked. The Army had strict rules about adultery, and this could be career-ending. Gina thought she and her new man would run away together, completely forgetting, like, she's married and that her husband will be home soon. It's like she forgot she's married and that her husband Kevin's going to return.
And she forgot she had another kid.
Yeah.
I mean, her son just left back in America with her
mom.
mom.
Well, no, I think she's got him in Germany.
Oh, she brought the kid with her?
I think so.
Oh.
But it just seems like she's not real keen on, like, hanging out with him or taking care of him.
Is he living in a hangar or something?
Maybe. It didn't take long for someone to inform Michael's commanding officer that he had gotten another service member's wife pregnant. Kevin got a phone call while training in South Carolina. When he learned about the pregnancy, he knew Gina was up to her old tricks. Because again, He knew she couldn't have children. Gina's family told him, you need to walk away from this marriage. She's up to her old tricks. Like, she's never going to change. She's cheating. Run.
See, yet again, we have a story where the family of the one person is telling the other person to, like, you just need to get away from them. They're no good. They're not a good person. Just run.
Yeah.
Which is...
they need to listen to some Linda Ronstadt or something. You no good. You no good.
Which you got to be pretty shitty for your
You
own...
ain't no good. Huh?
For your own family to be gunning you down.
Well, I mean, am I shitty? Because my family guns me down all the time.
Yeah, but I know for a fact that they're not truthful and they're crazy. So,
Well,
I mean, you
okay.
have that on your side.
Thanks. Kevin suspected the other soldier would be blackballed, and he wanted to work the marriage out. Kevin adored his young stepson. He firmly believed the child needed a stable home life. He also loved Gina despite the hurt she had brought into their marriage. Michael was dismissed from the army for, quote, weight problems, but everyone knew it was due to the adultery. A lot of times, you know, to kind of save face,
They'll say something else.
a unit will kick you out for some kind of cheesy reason, but there's, you know, something behind it like adultery.
Well, and see, here's another example. She has no consequences for her actions. She should be dismissed from army residences and such as well.
Michael told his commanding officer that he wanted to marry Gina as soon as her divorce was finalized. She ended up following Michael back to his home in Louisiana, but not before ditching her son in Illinois with her mother. Gina informed Kevin she had left him, and it didn't take long for Gina to reveal to Michael she had had a miscarriage.
Look, if I was Gina's mom, I wouldn't even answer the door when she come by. No, I'm just saying, man, I would be acting like I'm not home.
Michael's family suspected Gina was lying about everything, that she had never been pregnant. They had her sent kind of immediately, you know. But it didn't really take long for Michael to kind of reach out to some of his old colleagues in the army and learn that Gina had this history of faking pregnancies.
Yeah. It's like her superpower. Pregnant woman.
Oh,
Not really.
gosh.
But and then she'd be like, miscarriage.
I mean, it's terrible. You know, there are women who truly suffer
Yeah, I know. That's it. That's it.
from issues and can't have kids, can't conceive, or do have miscarriages. And it's so cruel to like make that up, to lie about that.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I find it disgusting.
A miscarriage is
It's no joke.
it's no joke. It's a big deal no matter when it happens, and the further obviously into the pregnancy, the harder and worse I imagine that it is. And for
It's really traumatic. It's really traumatic for women to go through that physically and emotionally.
yeah.
There's just so many reasons why it's wrong on Gina's part.
Well, no, you take a step back and think, if I have to lie to someone about like being pregnant,
To get them to stay with me?
yeah, then what's wrong with me? You know, and if she'd just be normal, what she would probably learn is these guys are probably just like her. She doesn't have to sink her hooks into them like this. You know what I mean? But she can't be normal.
Once Michael confronted Gina, she freaked out and headed to a bus station. But it didn't take long for Gina to win him back and leave once again for Louisiana.
Yeah, he went down there to talk to her, and she got pregnant right behind the bus station, dude.
Gina had told Kevin they might be able to salvage their marriage when she thought the relationship with Michael wasn't going to work out. But as soon as Michael and Gina rekindled their love affair, Gina dumped Kevin again. She returned to Illinois less than a day later, telling her mother that the situation with Michael was over. Only took a few hours for him to break up with her again.
What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know.
Jeez.
I mean,
man.
at this point, her mother's like not even sure she went back to Louisiana.
Oh,
you
she
know?
don't even know if it's true what she's
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. I mean, nobody can believe her, and she lies so much. With no money and living at her mother's house, Gina decided that life with Kevin might be a better option. When she learned that Kevin would be transferring to Fort Gordon near Augusta, Georgia, she told him to call her when he landed in the States. Now she might be interested. Now that she had no other option, she might be interested in getting back together with him.
Look, Kevin and Michael both need to have some self-respect and get the hell away from this girl, man. I mean, she's a toxic person. There's no way around it.
She's scandalous.
She's beyond scandalous.
In April of 1995, Kevin picked up his wife in Illinois. He hoped this would be the end of their marital woes. At 11 years old, young Stephen was left with his aunt because he needed to finish the school year out. The Spanns moved into an area in Augusta that was kind of known for like crime, drugs, prostitution. Not necessarily the best neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah. But it sounds like maybe during the 80s and 90s, some manufacturing had left, and, you know, the town was kind of in a bit of a lull economically.
Oh, you mean the beginning of gutting our middle class?
Well, yeah, we couldn't say that. You know, so of course, when jobs leave, a lot of poverty sets in, crime happens.
Yeah. Oh, it's playing out. It's played out many times around this country and many other countries.
Well, and a lot of times, and we've mentioned this before, for whatever reason, the neighborhoods or areas surrounding military installations aren't always the best neighborhoods.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
And that's what other people have said. Discord Allison's said
They
similar
can
things.
be a lot of seedy, kind of seedy things around the area. You get strip clubs, pawn shops, predatory auto.
Subprime auto loans.
Yeah, auto, car dealers.
So a bunch of entities just looking to sap wealth away from enlisted persons from the base.
Yeah.
Basically.
You get a lot of, like crappy bars, dangerous spots. A lot of times those bars, like are just right around base, are blacklisted. You're not allowed to go to those bars because of the sketchy shit that goes down there. Because everybody, if you're living in a poor community and the military is kind of the only economic driver you have there, and you've got these service members walking around with a little pocket full of money, a lot of them are young, naive. Everybody's looking to take advantage.
Well, it's a vicious cycle that happens at a place when the manufacturing and the places that employ big employers close down. You start instantly affects your tax base. They pay a lot of taxes, property taxes. The people had good jobs. Now they don't have good jobs. They can't get the cars, buy the houses. I mean, it's just a spiral. And it's almost, once you're into that, unless some communities have pivoted really well. And I think there should be like a playbook made out of the ones who did a good job. But a lot of places are too slow to move. And it just happened. And then, like you said, the crime and the drugs and the despair and poverty all kind of rushes in. And which you could argue that's always present in a community that just actually flourishes more so than anything else. Because young families with kids and good jobs really spend a lot of money in a community,
They do.
And once you take that away, it really hurts the entire area.
Gina had given Kevin a list of demands before they were able to get back together. Now, keep in mind, he's doing her a favor, right? Because she's the one that's jobless, homeless, kind of a big loser, has a kid that she's dragging along that she can't take care of.
She doesn't want to take care of.
She can't afford to take care of because she won't work. Let's be honest, he's helping her out here. But she's acting like she's the prize. She's a high-value woman, Dylan.
And he's allowing her to do these things. That's why she acts like this.
He wants to save the marriage. He agrees to some of these demands, although he's not really sure how he's going to pay for these extra expenses that Gina has tacked on. Like, she wants a new car. She wants a nice house. and she wants him to fully support her son financially.
Okay.
Kevin became obsessed with the idea of having his own children, which weighed heavily on Gina. She began binge eating again while Kevin held down 3 jobs to pay for their lifestyle. Kevin had bought Gina a nearly new Chevy Cavalier convertible.
I didn't even know they made a convertible Cavalier.
They did back in the day, bud. Gina was sinking into depression. Kevin worried about the emotional toll all of this was taking on her young son, Stephen, who had already been kind of caught in the middle of several bad situations. Gina announced in the spring of 1996 that she was moving back to Illinois. Running away was Gina's way of dealing with any difficulties, especially in the marriage. Back in Illinois, Gina continued binge eating and spent her time on the computer. Now she's got the internets, Dylan.
Oh my God. She's been catfishing people in real life.
She can.
What the fuck? She does not need to be digitized.
She communicated with men in chat rooms. A teenage boy in West Virginia thought he'd hit the jackpot when he met Gina online. She began exchanging emails several times a day with this young man. While Kevin wanted to work on their marriage, Gina was more interested in pursuing this new online relationship.
Did she send him an email telling him that she's pregnant?
They had cyber sex and she's pregnant.
Look, if she had not had her tubes tied, this is a sad part. She probably would have had 3 or 4 more kids, like intentionally.
Who knows how many? She would have had like a little softball team. Jesse Dunn was born July 6th of 1976 in West Virginia. Gina's a good 10 years older than him. He still lived with his parents when he met Gina on the internet. He's a teenager at the time. He was a bored teenager.
Oh my God.
He never thought about getting involved with an older married woman. Gina drove to West Virginia on Memorial Day weekend of 1996 with the express goal of having sex with the 19-year-old. Gina's biggest problem was figuring out how to survive without Kevin's money. Again, he still wants to make this marriage work. Gina agreed that she would try again with Kevin, but demanded that he rent her a separate house.
Come on, man. And she riding around the car he's paying for?
Yeah.
Man, cold-blooded.
She told him she wasn't ready to live with him yet, but she would move back to Augusta if he rented her a place to live.
And I want a jet.
And they, yes, she wants a jetpack. She wants a go-go gadget arm. And that they could like work on their marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that makes sense for you to keep up 2 households. I mean, how many jobs can this guy work?
Sometimes I think our marriage would work better if we lived in 2 separate households.
I don't think so.
It would be a lot less annoying for me.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't even need that much of a household, honestly.
Why don't you just move into like the basement?
So I have like a shower and a toilet and a bed.
I got one of those portable toilets that we take camping.
Yeah?
I throw that in the basement for you.
Are you going to swap it out?
Well, I'm just thinking like I'll have much less work to do
Are you sure?
if you leave. If you get away from me.
That's not true. I don't even bother anything.
You're a damn lie.
Anyway, we should get back to the story. It's ridiculous.
Can't even put condiments up after you use them.
Well, and that's why I'm pregnant.
Lazy. You're Gina. You know that?
Hey, get that
If you
mustard.
were a chick, you would be Gina.
Get that gray poupon, girl.
See, it would be you. I'm telling you. So, Gina was planning to bring her teenage lover to this house. Kevin was completely unawares.
She wants to move the teenage lover into the second house Kevin got her?
Yeah.
Man, this can't even be real.
Just wait. It gets spicy, Dylan. For a month, Kevin had no idea that Jesse was living in this house with his wife. During a fight with Kevin, Gina expressed her distaste for the dump they had previously lived in. Eager to please, Kevin found a large 3-bedroom house on Old Waynesboro Road. He'd been promoted, but the extra income couldn't really keep up with Gina's expensive tastes. So at this point, renting this newer, bigger house, he's pretty much strapped.
That she's not even
cash.
living in with him.
Well, he's hoping this big house will entice her. this bigger, nicer house.
It's like a moth to
in
the
a
flame.
nicer neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
That she'll give up this other place and move it back in, move in with him. Just wait.
I mean, it's kind of sweet in a really sick way, I guess.
No, just wait. It gets really dysfunctional.
No, it's like the best guys who try the hardest get tied up with let's be honest, she's a piece of shit. She's a shit
But I
bird.
think that happens to a lot of women too.
Well, no. Oh, certainly. Well, yeah.
But it does
certainly.
a lot of times seem like the really good, solid people get taken advantage of by the shittiest people.
And the reasoning of I just want to make this work is, I mean, though semi-noble in its construction, it's just not worth it. It's not worth
But
giving someone like this your energy like this.
But he loves her. The heart wants what the heart wants, Dylan.
But she does not love him, and it's obvious. I mean, I don't know how much clearer she can be.
Well, again, the heart wants what the heart wants, Dylan. So when Kevin tells his wife about this new house, she responds with, "But does it have a pool?" Kevin promised he would buy her a pool with his tax returns.
Okay, so now we got the big house, got the pools on the way. It's going to be here in April. And what else do you want?
Gina tried to figure out a plan to live in the house with Kevin and Jesse, her teenage lover. In the meantime, her son had moved to Georgia. Gina dropped her husband off at the base one day and then just moved into the new house with her boyfriend and child.
I thought her son went to Georgia.
Well, honey, Augusta is in Georgia where she lives.
Oh, you're saying her son had come to Georgia from Illinois. Hell, I can't even keep up where Steven's been this whole damn time. They just be dropping him off at rest areas and shit. Talking about, go ahead and finish the school year out.
Her son had moved to Georgia to live with his mother at this point.
Okay.
Remember, they were just like waiting for him to finish up the school
Oh, yeah.
year.
We left her with the
Okay.
auntie in Illinois, I assume.
So again, she just drops Kevin off at the base one day and moves her new boyfriend into their home. Kevin's like 3 days later, like, she just left me here and hasn't come back for me kind of thing.
He's like sitting by the front gate at the base waiting to be picked up.
Kevin
with
was
his backpack.
shocked to learn this news from Gina's sister that this dude was living in this house with her. Kevin's like, that's my house.
Okay.
Jesse, the boyfriend, began wondering how many lies Gina had told him because the stories were just not adding up. It seemed that Gina had lied about everything. Gina told Jesse that Kevin had abused her. She insisted they no longer slept together and Jesse would be protecting her if he stayed in the house. Gina set up a double bed in the main living room of the house, which she shared with her teenage lover Jesse. Kevin and Steven took bedrooms in the back. The two men adjusted to the awkward living arrangements. Jesse noted that despite Gina's stories of abuse, she never had any marks or bruises on her body. Kevin was quiet and kept to himself. He never heard the couple argue.
Look, I can't anymore. Kevin, you're a cuck. I mean, dude, bro, this is way beyond mild-tempered or any. What the fuck, dude? I mean, does he not have any friends that are like, bro, what are you
That's
doing?
the thing. He's not really like divulging this to his friends. Like, they don't really know what's going on. He's embarrassed. He doesn't tell them, hey, my wife's moved a teenage boy into our house
And the teenage
and is
boy,
screwing him on a fold-out couch.
are you dumb? Because this is very abnormal situation. There's nothing even remotely
Healthy.
healthy, good, cool. Nothing good can come of this. I mean, it's all the things. Because that quiet guy is going to snap one day and come in there and blow your head off with a gun.
Jesse doubted that Kevin was the monster Gina had painted him out to be. I mean, just living with the guy for a couple of weeks.
He
like,
likes Kevin.
Well, they bond. They
Okay.
kind of become friends. We're going to get into this.
They're
now.
awful towering over Gina.
Oh, God. You know Gina stinks.
Oh, no. Well, maybe she has very good
I
hygiene.
feel like Gina doesn't have good hygiene.
You don't think so?
No.
Anybody can lay around a nasty house is gross. Don't you think so?
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I'm just a...
You know some really clean people that have nasty houses? Because I haven't.
Okay. So Gina made it very clear that she needed this marriage to work out for financial reasons. She told Jesse if Kevin left, she would have nothing.
Okay.
So I got to figure out how to keep him around while I'm sexing you up, you sweet young piece of ass.
This would not have worked for me. This would be way too weird for me. I could have never been part of this.
Well, honey, nobody's asking you to be part of this. Okay?
You
can say no.
do you have a closet boyfriend you let out when I go to work?
I wish. I might be a little more fulfilled if I did. I wouldn't be lonely.
Well, that's not true. But I know that it's not because all our closets are cluttered and packed
I was
full of
gonna
stuff.
say.
You'd have to be a really tiny
I
guy.
got like camping gear and shit like stuffed away in all of our closets. Shoes, clothes. Then Gina did something that left everybody dumbfounded. Are you ready?
I guess.
She got pregnant. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, damn it.
She got a job.
What?
Yes. Gina took employment at Hardee's, but Gina couldn't get along with her coworkers and moved on to Taco Bell. Many young people worked at the Taco Bell restaurant part-time, and their friends would kind of stop by and hang out. That's when Gina met Jason Swallows, an 18-year-old high school student, just working together. And at first, he thought Gina was just some other, she's just some frumpy housewife, kind of looking for something to do outside the house.
Yeah.
But soon Jason's feelings changed. Gina took a genuine interest in his life, and they began spending some time together at work. Jason introduced Gina to his friend, 16-year-old Chris Bargeron. Bargeron had a reputation for cutting classes and torturing animals.
Oh, cool.
Now, Gina didn't like him right away and thought he was weird, which is pretty much the consensus. Everybody who met this Chris kid thought he was weird and creepy. But soon Gina introduced Jason to Jesse. So then Gina, her teenage lover, are hanging out with other teenagers.
Oh, okay.
And she's, in her 30s. It's not weird.
No.
It's not weird at all.
No, it's totally cool
It's
for
not weird at all to be 30 and you're hanging out with 16, 17, 18-year-old kids.
Well, she had a teenage boyfriend at the house. I mean, so it's
Yeah.
kind of, normal.
Then Gina started asking Jason about drugs. She told him that she wanted to make up for her lost youth. And he's kind of weirded out by this because she's an adult asking him, can I buy some weed from you, And he's like, is she some kind of narc?
Okay.
Whatever. But pretty soon he realized, after a few wild nights out, that Gina was into it. She smoked weed, she snorted cocaine, used amphetamines, and even smoked crack.
Damn. She's making up for lost time for sure.
As Gina's appetite for partying grew, Jesse became disenchanted with the relationship. He did not use drugs, and he did not like the fact that Gina, his girlfriend, was partying with these young dudes
Okay.
and smoking crack.
So him and Kevin are trying to figure out how to win Gina back.
All it really took was a big crack rock.
Uh,
Now, Gina immediately connected with these teenagers, and they regarded her as one of their peers.
oh, this is not cringe at all.
No, and the thing is, other adults who worked at Taco Bell were totally, weirded out by the situation.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they were just like, what the fuck is she doing hanging out with a bunch of kids?
You're-
She's grown, married, has a child.
has two lovers. I mean, her plate's full, dude.
Gina wanted to party nonstop. She took acid and fell in love with the drug. She said she was expanding her mind. And soon it seemed that after she consumed acid for some weeks in a row, that it was almost like she changed personalities, or something about her changed.
Yeah.
She was different.
You can use too much acid in a row, dude.
She was almost kind of dumb. She couldn't remember anything, and
She's burnt out.
yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
She burned herself out in a matter of a couple of months.
That flame done got blown out, Dylan.
Chasing that dragon.
Gina introduced a video camera into her sex life with Jesse. She wanted to make amateur pornography, and she enjoyed viewing videos of their lovemaking.
Well, yeah, what she started to do, which was pretty smart on her, it really showed her entrepreneurial spirit. She started giving out free copies with like the number 3 combo at Taco Bell. A little sample.
Here's the thing, Dylan.
A little hot and spicy there for you, bud.
I need to be super hot if I'm going to make any kind of amateur pornography. I'm way too insecure to do that and I don't want to watch it, right? Because I don't want to look at my body as it is doing these certain things.
Oh, okay.
Like it just...
You don't want to see it.
That doesn't sound like that's going to turn me on.
You know it's happening, but you don't want to see it.
I'm just going to like watch it and judge myself and be like, that was a terrible angle.
You know what's missing from amateur porn? The cameraman. A camera person. Angles always suck. They're terrible.
You know what's missing from amateur porn?
What?
Attractive people.
Well, there's
Let's
that.
be honest. Okay.
Even if they're attractive, the angles suck.
Gina shared her sexual fantasies, which included killing her husband. And there it is, folks.
I think we might have all known it was kind of heading in this direction, but that's your sexual fantasy?
Gina even made a video driving in the car where she and Jesse are kind of going back and forth, joking around about murdering Kevin. Jesse was concerned about Gina's ramblings, though. He relayed the information to Kevin, who seemed upset but took no action. Jesse apologized for his involvement with Gina and begged Kevin to leave the home. He really did fear that Gina was going to kill her husband.
Damn.
And Jesse's like, bro, I've come to like you, and I don't want you to get hurt. And Kevin's like, well, that sucks, but doesn't do anything about it.
None of his training kicks in?
Kevin saw it this way, Dylan. He was not going to leave his own home. He's like, this is my house. My name is on the lease. I pay the bills. This is my house. I'm not leaving. He considered that Jesse might also be lying, that maybe the boy just wanted Gina to himself. Co-workers noticed that Gina couldn't seem to stay away from young boys, and like I said, some of the other women thought she was a creep. Gina was out of control by like every standard. She was out of control.
You think she's sticking her finger in her butts? How does she be damn turning these dudes out?
Is that what it takes?
I don't know. She's doing something that's got them legs up, eyes open.
Let's be honest. She's preying on a certain type of man, adult man, right? Like her first husband, Kevin. These sound like guys who are maybe a little quiet, shy.
Okay.
Probably a little inexperienced.
Yeah.
Not as open-minded about sex, right? So when Gina, this sexual napalm, like she's Jessica Simpson or something, it bursts onto the scene, like they don't know what to do with themselves. And then she's also preying on these like teenage boys. And let's be honest, high school boys aren't exactly masters of lovemaking. So they're probably just, anything she does, they're like, whoa. They're just glad someone's touching their penis. Well, I would bet.
And what she's doing is disgusting. Very disgusting. It's borderline, predatory.
I think it's gross.
And it's terrible.
Dude, it gets worse. It does. It gets worse.
Okay.
I promise. No one was happy about this living arrangement. Gina knew she couldn't afford to move out. Kevin's staying because he can't afford to move out.
Well, it is his place. I mean, he's paying all the bills, so.
When Jason Swallows was having some issues at home, Gina offered him a place to live for $100 a month. Jason moved his waterbed into the den of the house.
Oh, my God.
Jason noticed how everyone seemed to avoid each other. Kevin had his own food in the kitchen and the refrigerator that was labeled, and you're like not allowed to eat Kevin's food.
Like a big pack of sausages.
I don't know.
Kevin's sausages.
These are my little Debbies. Don't you touch them. He and Gina stayed at opposite ends of the house. They didn't interact at all. Like, for example, if Kevin was in the kitchen, Gina was in the living room. If Kevin was in the bathroom, Gina was in the kitchen. Like, they just went out of their way to avoid each other. Gina then focused her attention on a 19-year-old named Michael Kelly who worked at Taco Bell. She flirted with him openly. Jason thought it was wrong for Gina to cheat on Jesse, but didn't really say anything about it. Michael's younger brother, Larry, also started working at Taco Bell. Larry was considered handsome, and it didn't take long for coworkers to learn that he was dating someone. However, they were shocked to discover it was Gina.
Oh my God, dude. They got Taco Bell, PepsiCo, who owns Taco Bell, I'll have you know, needs to do something about this walking liability in one of their establishments. I mean, this is a litigation waiting to happen.
You need to do something about your sour cream, Taco Bell.
Dude, Gina, you need to get Gina's stank ass up off the drive-through line. I bet she don't even make a good taco.
Maybe they're running a lot on Gina at the drive-thru.
You know, that's one of the saddest things about where we moved. The Taco Bell down the road is disgusting. It's gross.
Yeah.
And, like, how do you fuck up Taco Bell?
The cookout's gross, too.
The cookout is one of the...
I mean, okay, here we are talking about like we eat a bunch of fast food. We really don't. But on occasion,
yeah,
especially if I might have the munchies for some reason.
Yeah, 11 o'clock at night.
Unspecified reason. I want to get like a milkshake from Cookout or some fries, something like that. And it's just nasty. Like you get your fries and they're like wet, like somebody dipped them in water. I mean,
dude.
And they give you like 3 and you have to wait in line like 30 minutes when there's 2 cars in front of you to get it.
And you can't even afford Taco Bell anymore. Okay, we'll get back to it, but it's ridiculous. You just get like 2 tacos and a Sierra Mist.
A Baja Blast.
A Baja Blast. And the damn, you know, the carbon water's off and it tastes weird. Like the lines.
It tastes like pool water.
The lines have never been cleaned. And the taco you can't even get to your mouth before it falls apart. I'm like, how did it get so soggy? Well, when did you make this?
And the tomatoes are never ripe.
Oh, I don't know where they get
and
those.
As you're eating it, you just know, like, I'm going to be in the bathroom in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know there's that joke about Taco Bell, but it used to be good. You know?
It did.
I remember the 39 cent tacos. You get a whole bag of them damn things.
It was $59, $79, $99, so you're wrong.
Whatever. I remember when you could take $5.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
2 people could eat some Taco Bell. Anyway, let's go. God, I want to go find a good Taco Bell.
Gina and Larry were going to motels after work. He's like 17, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
He's only 17.
She's a full-on molester. And let's be honest, the manipulations and things she's doing with the even technically legal teenagers, it's not okay.
The poor kid. Imagine you're like a young man and your name is Larry.
Well,
it's not really a hip name.
I would maybe go by another name.
I'd go by like Lair. Just call me Lair.
Just call me L.
Out of the blue, Gina asked Jason Swallows if she could borrow his gun. He had purchased a .25 semi-automatic from another employee at Taco Bell, but Jason had a bad feeling about it. Then another coworker told him, like, don't do it. This other coworker's like, Gina has a plan to kill her husband. Do not loan her a gun.
The gossip is on 1,000 at this Taco Bell, ain't it?
It is. An older female employee at Taco Bell had really strong feelings about the relationship between Gina and Larry. She said, quote, "Who the hell does she think she is? That kid's nearly young enough to be her son." Gina and Jesse's relationship deteriorated. Jesse spent most of his free time babysitting Gina's son. The child was ignored in his opinion, and Gina had never really been a stable mother. Jesse and Kevin's relationship bloomed. They become buds. Kevin appreciated Jesse cleaning the house and helping out with Steven.
Oh, it's like his sister husband.
It's also like the pair bonded over their disgust with Gina.
You know, it's nothing.
So then they would just sit around shit talking her.
Nothing brings 2 guys together like a shitty woman.
Like a hoe.
Yeah.
In January of 1997, Gina asked Michael Kelly, this is Larry's brother, to kill her husband. He refused, saying, "No way, I'm trying to keep out of trouble."
Not just as morally repugnant what you asked me. I'm on probation. I can't do that
trying
right
to keep
now.
out of trouble. The tangled love life of Gina and the problems at the house were a sign for Jason Swallows that he needed to move out. When Gina started dating Larry, it was clear that she wanted Jesse to leave. She wanted him out of the house.
And wait, this other kid's just laid up. He's sprawled out on a waterbed in the den.
Well, Jason is.
No,
he's renting a room.
Yeah, I know. He's renting the den, and he's just kind of like eating some chips and watching all this play out around him.
Yeah, and he's like, "Bro, I just need to get the fuck out of here, right?
What the fuck?
I'll just go back home and deal with my
I'll
parents."
just go back and let my dad beat me. It'll be better than this.
So now she's got this new boyfriend, Larry, but she still has Jesse at home, and she really needs Jesse to leave so she can move Larry in.
What she needs is for Kevin and Jesse to both work and get a 5-bedroom, and so there's more rooms for her to bring guys back to.
Okay, no, this is what she really needs. She really needs Jesse and Kevin to fall in love with each other
Okay.
and pursue a relationship.
So they
And
move
then-
into the same room?
And they can move into the bedroom together, and then she can have the living room with her new boyfriend.
Well, but then Jason's in the den watching from the waterbed. Maybe it's a split level.
Maybe they're into it, okay? Maybe he likes to watch, and maybe Gina likes to put on a show.
Man, I wouldn't want to go to this Taco Bell.
Look,
and
maybe
eat.
they have a curtain hanging up between the den and the living room.
Does the curtain really make that much of a difference?
I don't know. Maybe they have a towel hanging up. Gina was transferred to another Taco Bell because of all of this drama.
Okay.
Now, while all this is going on, Gina is still sharing her bed with Jesse.
That's not awkward.
After months of dysfunction, Jesse bought himself a plane ticket and left. Hours later, Gina moves Larry in. Gina befriended another 21-year-old employee named Joe Harrod. She suggested that he and Larry kill Kevin Spann. Gina was giving them both sob stories about Kevin abusing her and that he had raped her multiple times. Kevin shocked Gina with the news that he was being transferred to Fort Knox.
Damn.
Which, this is a big blow to Gina because she knows if he leaves, he's probably going to get a divorce. And that means no more Army gravy train for Gina.
He should get a divorce.
That's when Gina really starts putting pressure on Larry to kill Kevin. She even pulled the pregnancy routine on him. She's like, "Here, let me give you the old razzle dazzle. You see these two little blue lines? Look, you see those? Oh, look. Oh, they disappeared. Oh, they appeared."
She got like a top hat,
Yes.
taking a baby in and out of it.
Yes.
Little fetus baby with the placenta on
Yeah.
it.
She's like, "Watching my cervix just appear inside this hat." During a trip to Illinois, Kevin heard a hard truth from Gina's family. They told him that Gina had been scamming him all along and she was just using him for money. They all urged Kevin to leave. Like, get out while you can. But Kevin explained that he was financially underwater. He's working 3 jobs. He's drowning in bills. He can't afford to move out.
I don't know
He's
how
still
he
got a lease on the house that he can't break.
I don't know how he did all this up to this point because it seems like a lot.
He also mentioned that there was an insurance policy that Gina would lose in the divorce and that he really didn't think Gina would go through with the divorce.
Dude, he should kill her. Right? Yeah, before Jesse left, they should have came up with a plan to kill her.
Kevin tried again to save the marriage. He bought Gina the pool she wanted. It was an above-ground pool, and he financed it. It cost $4,000. Now, this is in the 90s. So, $4,000 for an above-ground pool, that's got to be a nice fucking pool, right?
No, $4,000 when you're already drowning in debt is a really, really smart move.
Yeah. Kevin ran up even more debts to win Gina back. He continued working these 3 jobs, like barely staying afloat. Gina made no effort to move Larry out of the house. She also wasn't contributing financially because she's using all of her money to pay for drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
Kevin had enough and told her that he wanted a divorce. Gina freaked out because that meant Kevin would no longer support her son financially, or her fun. In February of 1997, Kevin received 2 threatening letters. They were anonymous letters accusing him of abusing Gina. He didn't go to police, but instead confided in a fellow soldier. When this friend learns what's been going on all this time and the dysfunction and Gina's cheating and these boyfriends, the friend is just like, what are you doing, bro? You need to contact police and you need to get the fuck out of there. I'm worried about you. This doesn't sound safe at all.
No, and it's way far outside societal norms.
Yeah, and also his friend, this just kind of went against what he knew about Kevin. They were in the armed forces together. He'd served alongside him, worked with him, and he was just like, bro, what are you doing? He just couldn't even imagine Kevin buckling this much. It's wild, bud.
No, could you imagine someone laying this all out at once? And they're so far down the tubes that they don't realize how weird all this is.
By April, Kevin had made plans that as soon as he got a tax refund, he was out the door. Gina pressured Joe Herod and Larry to kill Kevin once again. She told them about Kevin's life insurance policy and offered Joe half the money if he would kill her husband, but Joe refused. Gina kept pestering him about it. Now, despite all of this, Gina was feeling insecure and worried that Kevin might be seeing someone else.
Oh.
What the fuck?
God damn. She's like a mega narcissist, dude.
April 18th of 1997, someone broke into the home of Larry's stepfather and stole money, a diamond ring, a wedding band, 2 cameras, and a .38 special. Now, Mr. Best, that's Larry's stepdad, he immediately blames his stepsons. He thinks it's Larry and Michael. They were the only people who knew where he had a little bit of money stashed. So he really thinks it's those boys. Larry needed to find someone else to kill Kevin. He wasn't going to do it. He and Gina wanted to distance themselves from the murder. That's when Larry reaches out to Chris Bargeron. Remember the weird kid who tortured animals?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody liked him. He agreed to take care of the problem for $15,000.
Yeah, he's like, sure. I've been thinking about killing a person, and this actually really lines up with my my summer.
Well, 16-year-old Bargeron laid out the plan with careful detail. He seemed like a real pro. They thought he would be the hitman, but he kind of changed his mind at the last minute. That's when Chris started asking around the high school if anybody wanted to kill a guy for a few bucks. He's trying to subcontract this hit out to someone else at the high school.
Why doesn't anybody go to the cops, dude? Seriously, this is weird.
Well, the thing about Chris is that no one really took him seriously because he was such an oddball and was always kind of saying offhanded, bizarre things. So all of these people were just like, is this some other weird shit Chris is doing?
Well, yeah, but even the other, couple of kids or whatever, or teenagers, she's really intently, Larry and the other dude, pestering to do this. I don't get it.
I don't know. They're young. Their brains aren't fully developed. I don't know.
I would have informed authorities. So, yeah.
Okay.
Solicit me for murder.
Okay, narc.
Whatever. I would narc on your ass in a heartbeat.
You rat. In early May, Chris connected with Jerry Horn. Horn had a reputation around town as being a bit of a tough guy and came highly recommended by sophomores at the high school.
Oh, my gosh.
He was a dropout, kind of had this bad reputation.
Like, you need a killer?
Drug user, probably selling drugs, right?
I know the guy.
All the 10th graders are like, yeah, Horn's your man. If you're looking for a hitman, call Horn.
Look him up in the yearbook, most likely to commit murder.
Yes. Horn agreed to the killing, but told Chris he didn't want to meet Larry or Gina, that he had seen enough movies to know they needed to keep his identity secret. Horn was given the 38 special. At that point, he tried getting out of the murder. That's when one of his friends, 16-year-old Matt Piazzi, stopped by and became involved in the conversation. Piazzi claimed to have killed a man when his family lived in North Carolina. Piazzi excitedly agreed to carry out this hit. He's like, oh man, I've already done this before. I got you.
What the fuck?
I'm 16. I'm a hardened killer. I got you.
Well, aren't they lucky he popped by?
They are. Yeah. Just after midnight on May 10th of 1997, which happened to be Mother's Day, Piazzi and Horn showed up at the Spann house. Or I'm sorry, the Spann house. I don't know why I call them the Spann. They entered the house and heard the radio in the background, so they felt like somebody was home. Gina had loaned them a car, a Toyota, which would help transport them out of the area after the murder. That's what she said.
Which is really a critical element of killing someone, being able to leave.
Yeah. What they didn't know is that Gina was going to say someone had broken in the house and stolen the car. But they think she's just being cool and like gave him a car to leave town in. Okay. Horn fired a shot at the house next to a side window, which was kind of by the front yard. Now, he would later say he only intended to warn the person inside the house. He didn't really have plans to follow through with killing anybody.
So he drove there to shoot, to warn them
At the house.
that they might be in danger.
Yeah.
Okay.
He thought if he shot at the house, Kevin might get it that like someone's gonna trying to kill him.
Oh, it makes total sense.
Kevin heard the noise but thought it was a car backfiring. A neighbor called 911 to report the shooting. When a deputy arrived, Kevin told him that a 1986 white Toyota was missing from his driveway, but he suspected that Gina might have taken it. Kevin didn't seem to understand the situation. He told the officer that, it's kind of weird because $200 and his bank card were also missing along with his car.
Right.
Yeah.
And along with someone shooting at my house.
Well, at that point, he doesn't know that someone was shooting at the house. There were no signs of forced entry, but it was later when Kevin called the police again to report that he'd found a bullet hole in his son's bedroom window. The bullet had traveled into the child's bedroom, leaving a hole in a chest of drawers.
Damn.
Just think about this. This crazy bitch is trying to get her husband killed, and her son could easily be
Well, of course.
caught up in this.
She don't even care. That's the last thing she was thinking about.
Gina spent the whole of Mother's Day angry that the boys had not killed Kevin. At 9:30 p.m., Gina dropped the boys off and gave them cab money for a ride home once they had carried out the hit. She's like, you're going back, and you're going to do this killing.
Okay.
Because I said. Gina then picked up her son from the house. So this time around, she's going to take her kid with her, because she doesn't want his bedroom to get shot up again. So crazy. The boys knocked on the front door. No one answered. They knocked again harder, and this time a sleepy-eyed Kevin answered. Matt asked, Gina and Larry here? Kevin said, no, I think they're out someplace, and that's when Matt Piazzi pulled the trigger, shooting Kevin Spann. The bullet entered Kevin Spann's cheek and then into his brain. He died instantly.
Damn.
Matt Piazzi fired a second shot for, quote, good measure, and the bullet went through Kevin's throat and out his back. They could hear Kevin choking on the blood, and then he went silent. A neighbor who lived a few hundred yards away from the Spann house heard his dog barking, and he thought he kind of heard maybe shots fired. He wasn't sure. That's when he went out onto the front porch, and he saw two young men walking by. The boys made eye contact with him and then immediately rushed off.
Damn.
Like they were up to something.
What the hell?
As they ran off, they tossed the gun into a row of bushes and then went to a payphone and called a taxi to give them a ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like that. They changed the plan up.
Well, Gina did give them $10 for cab money to leave the crime scene. Yeah. Gina discovered Kevin's body on the living room floor by the front door. Blood was pouring from his head. Kevin Spann was dead, she realized. Gina, Larry, and her son drove to a nearby store where Gina placed a call to 911. Law enforcement arrived pretty quickly, and they were immediately suspicious when they got to the scene. They wondered why the call had been made from a payphone instead of inside the house. They also thought Gina and Larry were acting squirrely, which raised some red flags. Larry had made some strange statements to detectives, and the statements sounded very rehearsed, as if he was reading from a script.
Oh, like he'd thought about
A
it.
script in my mom movie. Yeah.
My mom movies make me cry.
Yeah. Also, Gina Spann couldn't really explain why she had been sleeping with the teenager inside the home that she shared with her husband. The alibi timeline was too perfect for people who had just stumbled upon a dead body. I mean, she was giving them like exact times. Like, oh, well, we did this and it was, 9:24.
Yeah.
I just happened to look at the clock and I know it was 10:36. I mean,
Well, it's like the people.
most people don't know that.
Well, it's like the people who go around all day
Collecting receipts.
collecting receipts.
Yes.
I got here's my receipt from Starbucks. Here's where I got $5 in gas. Here's where I stopped and bought some gum. I mean, come on.
Gina reported that the Toyota was missing, and it didn't take very long for a deputy to find the white 1986 Toyota across town. When he ran the tag, he realized that the vehicle was connected to a homicide victim. So this is kind of happening simultaneously.
Okay.
Detectives didn't really believe that Kevin had been killed by an intruder. I mean, there was no forced entry into the house. Nothing really missing from the house.
Well, no, he's laying basically in the doorway.
Yeah.
So that means he answered the door and somebody shot them, which means someone came there to kill him. And I don't understand why people, and these fools, these idiots didn't even attempt to, why people can't stage a proper burglary scene.
I don't know.
How many times have we heard that?
Yeah, like, oh, I just take a drawer and toss some
They
things
just
on
dump
the
the
floor.
underwear drawer out and that's it. And that's not how burglars operate.
Not usually.
No.
Not when I burglarize a home, that's not how I operate.
And then you leave obvious valuables setting out. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, dude.
I'm taking that urn. Okay, your Nana's ashes are coming with me. Police decided what they needed to do was separate Larry and Gina when they took them downtown to the station for questioning. Larry was interviewed first. The police applied pressure, and soon the boy was jumping around in his seat. They could see he was very nervous. In less than an hour, Larry gave a full confession, telling law enforcement that Gina had put 2 teenagers up to murdering her husband. She had them take the Toyota so she could say it was stolen during the robbery, and that Gina had offered them money from Kevin's life insurance to carry out the murder.
I knew that this was not going to hold.
The longer detectives took with Larry, the more anxious Gina became. Larry clearly laid out the murder plans in shocking detail, listing every player involved and basically here's who did it and here's where they all live.
Nice.
Yeah. During the interview, Larry mentioned that Gina was pregnant with his child. She just can't help herself. Once Gina was taken into the interview room and presented with the information Larry had just given up, she wilted. Gina told them everything, including where they could find the 2 hired gunmen.
Senseless.
So much for resistance.
It's just so stupid. This is almost worse when it crumbles this quickly and there's just no plan, and it just makes it all the more
Man, you ain't
idiotic.
You ain't getting shit out of me. I ain't telling you nothing.
No.
You can show me all the evidence you want. I ain't admitting nothing.
But that
I'm
ain't,
like Shaggy. It wasn't me.
oh yeah, that ain't me.
That ain't me.
But that's AI, bro.
Gina insisted she was the real victim in all of this. She'd been raped by her husband numerous times, and that killing him had not been a long-term plan. Gina never thought the murder for hire scheme would actually happen. By 3 a.m., investigators learned Gina Spann had conspired with 4 other individuals to murder her husband, Kevin, and the crime was over a $300,000 life insurance payout. Soon after, Jerry Horn and Matt Piazzi were taken into custody. During the ride to the station, Piazzi offered to take police to the location where he had disposed of the murder weapon. 30 minutes later, the weapon was recovered. Chris Bargeron was less forthcoming with his role in the crime. He was the only participant who did not fully confess and instead asked for a lawyer. Law enforcement was able to wrap up the murder investigation in just 7 hours.
Damn.
There was an abundance of forensic evidence, including fingerprints on the murder weapon and inside the Toyota. Jason Swallow told investigators about the time Gina had asked to borrow his gun. He also gave law enforcement pretty good insight into the dysfunction that had been happening in the Spann household.
Yeah. Yeah. He'd be like, I'm just sitting here on my waterbed, which is awesome.
Watching. Kevin was making a sandwich. And then Gina and Larry and Jesse were rolling around.
They were having sex.
In the living room.
Not on my waterbed. That was my one rule.
Change the sheets, y'all.
It's waveless.
Pretty soon the story was making headlines. Hard Copy, hell yeah, showed up at the Taco Bell to interview some of Gina's coworkers.
Oh, dude.
And you know they were talking so much shit about her. Michael Kelly helped investigators connect the 38 Special to his stepfather, revealing that the gun had been stolen. Michael's mother had thought she had caught a glimpse of a blue Chevy Cavalier convertible, like in the area around the time of the burglary. And when they showed her a picture of Gina's car, it was a match.
Nice.
Others came forward with stories of how Gina Spann had tried to get them to kill her husband. Even in jail, Gina was consumed with getting Kevin's insurance payout.
They even had the sophomore class come in and be questioned.
Yeah, pretty much. She told her sister where to find the insurance paperwork. Gina's sister instead turned it over to police, along with a videotape she had discovered showing Gina speaking. It was like the video in the car when she's talking to Jesse about killing Kevin and kind of joking around. Her sister turned that tape over, and the tape also featured Gina having sex with Jesse. Soldiers at Fort Gordon were horrified and saddened by the news of the murder for hire plot. Unfortunately, it was not the first time a soldier had been killed for his life insurance, and not the first time it had happened at that base.
Damn, that's crazy.
It happened about 10 years earlier as well. Gina and her 4 co-conspirators were facing malice murder, felony murder, and possession of a firearm during the commission of certain crimes. Danny Craig would be prosecuting the state's case. He was concerned because the Supreme Court had outlawed execution for those under the age of 17, which meant the death penalty was off the table for the 2 16-year-olds charged in the case. That included Matt Piazzi, the gunman. He could not be sentenced to death. District Attorney Craig did wish to seek the death penalty against Gina Spann. Yet women were hardly ever subjected to capital murder trials in Georgia. Only 4 women had been sentenced to death, and each was eventually resentenced to life in prison. Another piece of evidence surfaced when an off-duty cop who lived near the Spann, near their neighborhood, was out making a video, smoking fish in his backyard. He was making a video of smoking these fish because apparently he had a really big catch of fish. So he was proud of it and was making a video look at all these fish I caught and I'm smoking them or whatever.
Okay.
It's a total man thing to do. And while he's making the video, he happened to catch the gunshots that killed Kevin Spann in the background.
Damn.
Now, this was a time-stamped video and dated, which was very valuable for prosecutors.
Well, yeah.
To lay out their case.
I mean, that's invaluable evidence.
Gina's court-appointed attorney, her name was Maureen Floyd, advised her to say nothing else. She knew it was going to be an uphill battle given that her client had given a full confession, but she was determined to give it her best shot, and she really believed Gina was innocent. Her client hadn't committed the murder, and she shouldn't be charged with murder.
Well, maybe she's just saying that. I mean, come on.
Well, the boys had little chance of being found innocent with their confessions combined with the evidence, Now they were just concerned about the sentencing. Larry's lawyer didn't feel he was responsible for the murder and had just been along for the ride. He felt that Larry wasn't knowledgeable or articulate, which made it difficult for Larry to express like his side of the story and like tell like his involvement or like how he wasn't involved kind of thing. While in jail, Larry's stepfather died. So that was like another blow to the family. His attorney said, quote, "It's so disturbing to me that Larry was just swept away by other people's manipulations and had his life destroyed because of it." Gina and the 4 teenagers were indicted by a grand jury on June 3rd of 1997. No trial date was set. Gina Spann agreed to plead guilty to malice murder and use of a firearm during the commission of a crime. This would take the death penalty off the table. It would also help speed up the trial process for the other defendants. Gina was given a life sentence without parole plus 5 years.
Okay.
Chris Bargeron fared much better than the others. His refusal to cooperate from the beginning and insisting on a lawyer worked to his advantage. Bargeron ended up firing his attorney and defended himself in court. Now, he's like a 16-year-old kid. He was the youngest person in Georgia to defend himself at a trial connected to murder.
And he had the better outcome?
Well, like, this is wild. Bargeron surprised everyone by filing motions to remove the judges who were scheduled to preside over his hearing. He presented himself as a fully trained attorney in the courtroom. He had spent his 5 months in jail reading 2 law books a day. Bargeron sought a separate trial from the other defendants in hopes of receiving a lesser sentence, and it worked. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy and was sentenced to 5 years in prison, followed by 5 years of probation.
What?
Yeah. One attorney said, quote, "Bargeron is a waste of talent. That kid is one of the brightest young defendants we've ever had in this court."
That's crazy.
It is. I mean, from everything I've researched, this kid was like amazing in the courtroom, like better than seasoned lawyers. People were just blown away. Like he knew how to navigate the system.
That's insane, and it is a waste of talent. That could have done something else with himself.
On December 1st of 1997, Matt Piazzi pleaded guilty to murdering Kevin Spann. He was given a mandatory life sentence for felony murder. In exchange for his plea and willingness to testify against Horn and Larry Kelly, some of the charges against him were dropped. A few days later, Jerry Horn pleaded guilty to felony murder and was also given a life sentence. Larry's trial began just 3 days later. He elected for a jury trial after pleading not guilty to the charges against him. Larry took the stand in his own defense to say that killing Kevin Spann was Gina's idea. Chris testified in Larry's defense as well, saying it was Gina who wanted her husband dead. Again, kind of reiterating that Larry was just sort of along for the ride. Neither Chris nor Larry wanted to do it, and that's when Chris subcontracted the hit out to Matt Piazzi and Jerry Horn. The district attorney pushed that Larry had been with Gina since the first rumblings of murder and had continued helping her, thus making him a large part of the conspiracy, and that it had been Larry who had offered money to his friends.
Damn.
Larry was given life plus 5 years. He would be eligible for parole in 2011, but he remains incarcerated to this day. A few months after sentencing, Gina went back to court. She claimed the life sentence was too harsh, though it had spared her the death penalty. Gina's plea agreement outlined that she had given up any right to an appeal, and if she did, she would stand trial on capital murder charges. Gina's ass was sent back to prison. And guess what? Gina's ass remains in prison.
I was going to say she got pregnant.
Her prison girlfriend got her knocked up.
Yeah.
It was discovered that Kevin Spann had fathered a child with an ex-girlfriend after his death. This only came out when there was like a probate kind of hearing over his estate, his life insurance policy.
Oh, imagine that.
Which, by the way, Kevin had left all of his life insurance to Stephen Hill, Gina's son.
Interesting.
So he ended up getting the $300,000.
So she could have never collected on his. She was not the beneficiary.
Well, it doesn't sound like. Or maybe she was, but because of the murder, she couldn't access it. So all the money ended up going to to Stephen, the son.
What a crazy story.
Yes.
I mean, it's a bunch of dumbasses. And
A bunch of horny dumbasses. Let's be honest.
it's the same old song and dance. We've seen it many times.
Some randy people.
You have the typically the woman. I guess you could I guess in the Buttafuoco is
Yeah.
his chick come calling. But
Well, we've seen this multiple times. Like I
Yeah.
mentioned,
Pam
the Kelly, was it Geisendaner case or whatever that we covered. Pamela Smart comes to mind.
who still to this day will not take responsibility for what she's done. Just oh, poor me.
Yeah. I mean, there have been several cases where women manipulated teenage boys or very young men into killing their husbands, and they always get caught.
Always get caught, and I'm just surprised that these young boys, young guys are this dumb, man.
Are you, though?
Yes, I am. I would never, ever, ever, ever do that. Ever.
But you say that, but you don't know. You've never been really, truly manipulated by a sexual being, Dylan.
But she could be all whatever, finger my butt. She can do all that
Is that
stuff.
what you want? You keep bringing that up.
She could do
Y'all,
all.
I think we learned something about Dylan today. Why have you not shared this with me before? This is your desire. You should let me know.
She could do anything to me.
It's a pretty personal thing to share on the podcast.
But as soon as she's done fingering my butt, I'm just kidding.
You're not.
She's like, hey, I need you to kill
Why are
my-
you spreading your cheeks while you're talking to me?
I'm
It's
not.
Really, put your shorts back on.
I need you to kill somebody. I mean, no, that's it. I'm done there. That's
but-
it.
I think if you're a young person, young teenager, this woman, let's say you find her sexy, she's putting it on you, she's doing all the things you like, including fingering your butthole or whatever. God, I hope she washes her hands after.
That's the name of this episode, by the way.
There is something very wrong with you right now. Telling you lies. My husband's beating me. He's raping me. I mean, I really feel like it is possible that, you know, a young person could be brainwashed by this stuff.
I would say you need to contact authorities. I don't know what to tell you. So clean your finger off and get out of my face.
Oh my gosh, you are such a mature young person.
Contact the authorities.
Okay.
I'll contact them for you and tell them that you just solicited me to commit murder.
Well, and you got to think about like preying upon certain types of kids that don't have like good, stable home lives, families that don't really give a shit about them. And she's taking this really active interest in them, befriending them.
No, I mean, I get it.
I mean,
I know how it happens and why, but it just blows me away every time that you can have this large group of people know that this woman's out trying to get someone to kill her husband, and no one ever. I don't know. I don't get it. I guess maybe in the heat of the moment, people don't believe it's possibly or that's true,
well, I think that's what happens in a lot of cases.
or that she's just blowing off,
Yeah.
steam or talking crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, once
Well,
you
that coupled with the fact they know she's like a drug user, she's partying all the time,
That's
she's
just the crack.
messed up a lot of the time. You know, some of these young people are like, bro, she just dropped acid like 4 days in a row. Who can believe anything she says, you know?
that's just the crack talking.
Maybe.
The crack wants to kill her husband.
Yes, it does.
Well, thank you for that story. God, what a bunch of dumbasses. And what a terrible thing for someone like Kevin.
Well, I just think, you know, Gina's one of those people that really seems to think she's smarter than everybody else, or she's the maestro, and she's like pulling the strings. She's Geppetto from Masterminds.
Yeah, she's lame pedo.
She really thinks, you know, that she's got this covered. But, like, you've involved a bunch of kids and you've asked multiple people. I mean, she probably has like 10 or 15 witnesses
Yeah.
who've heard her talk about this plan, who she's asked, she's offered them money. You got this boy at the high school going around asking everybody, like, hey, y'all know somebody who wants to kill a dude?
Damn.
Can
For-
y'all recommend a good killer? Are there any 10th graders available?
For a few extra
Is
bucks.
there a senior or junior we can call? Yeah. it's so stupid. And then you get arrested, and right off the bat, you're just like, yep, I did it, and here's how I did it. You're not even going to try to lie and say you didn't have anything to do with it.
They're just dumb. And what's scary is dumb people can be dangerous.
Well, these dumb people are definitely dangerous. And what's really sad is that this poor man lost his life after, having been in this shitty marriage for quite a while and had been crapped on by his wife that he was in love with repeatedly.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel really sorry for him.
No, it's terrible what happened to him. I mean, it's just terrible.
And I really feel sorry for Gina's son. I think he went to live with his family in Illinois. He was I know that when the murder happened, he was placed into foster care for just a few, for a little bit, and then went to Illinois to live with her family. But, he lost his mom and the only father figure he'd really ever had. And again, didn't have a very stable life.
Well, just being moved around, left.
Felt neglected by his mother.
And when he was with her, he's in the middle of this weird dysfunction
There's all
that's
these
happening.
Young teenagers in his life taking care of him, better care of him than his mother is.
That's disgusting. She's a horrible person. And I'm glad she's in jail, but I wish she was dead.
Well, I'm glad she can't get pregnant.
Well,
again.
She is pregnant. That's the part you don't know.
Even though she's in her 60s.
She's had an imaginary baby that's graduating college.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's having a baby with the warden.
Yeah, I'm pregnant by the warden.
She's having a geriatric pregnancy.
It happens.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, checking out this episode. I know it was lengthy, but I just had to tell y'all all the deets, bro. It blew my mind.
So much dumbness.
It's one of those stories that truly melted my mind while researching it. Because I'm like, it can't get any worse. And then it just gets worse.
No, there's a whole nother layer of worse. All right. So until next time, we will see you in the midweek. And enjoy your summer.
We hope you find love after lockup.
We do. I'm going to watch some more of that. Oh, yeah. Make dinner. I'm going to watch it while I eat a plate of dinner on the couch.
A plate of dinner?
That's right.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.